And we're here for another episode of Master Lukey Mondays on For the
All
Lads.
right.
Like always,
Here you
Master
go.
Lukey, really appreciate you coming on, brother.
Oh, thanks for having me, lad.
My pleasure, mate. We'll jump in straight in with the White House
Mm,
news. Uh,
mm.
Trumpy saying about a UFC out in the White House, and all these guys coming out the woodwork saying they're gonna jump back in the testing pool, and you know, well,
Who's
yeah,
that?
we'll start from there, brother. What do you reckon?
Who said they're doing to jump back in the testing pool?
So Jones, soon as that came out, Jones said he's back. He's jumping in the testing pool for that. Um, so that didn't last long. Then McGregor, he's another one throwing his head in there. Everyone's coming out of the woodwork for that, which
Okay.
I don't blame him for that. Look,
Yeah.
whatever the Democrats say. Look, I get it. It's a bit of that. It does remind me a bit of that idiocracy with Terry Crews out in the White House, but it's hilarious. And good ways would get like the best card. You get the best card they've ever put on. Like all the best guys are gonna want to be on there, and Dana would
Yeah.
definitely fill that card. So, I'm all for it.
Mm.
The
That's right.
Republicans can be from idiocracy, and the Democrats are like what's that Sylvester Stallone movie, Demolition Man? Where you get fined for swearing or anything, one extreme to the
Right.
other. But yeah, I
Yeah.
reckon it would be gold. Like jets flying over the top and that.
Oh wow.
Guys hanging out of the.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm only playing around, but I reckon
Mm.
it's funny. The card we'll get
Oh
though will
yeah.
be great. So we'll go in. What do you reckon?
Yeah. So you're thinking like it would be an outdoor venue, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I know that he's
Mm.
always against doing the outdoor venues, but like it's the White House. Like I'm sure he's going to make an
Mhm.
exception for that.
Yeah. Reminds me of Antonio Inoki in the year 2000. They had a pride on New Year's Eve,
Mm.
and he came in on a parachute. He flew into the open air. It's a stadium.
Yeah.
They do 80,000. They were doing 80,000 capacity,
Yeah.
and this man came into the ring on a parachute.
Yeah. I don't think I ever seen
Incredible.
that. If I did,
They
I've
do it
forgotten.
right.
I know who you mean, Antonio Noki. I've seen the guy with the
Yeah.
big jaw, that
Yep.
all the guys over there respect. And I'm pretty sure he fought Ali as well, right? That was him that fought Ali back in the day as well.
He he was a pro wrestler in the time when they had they had shoots. That's where shoot wrestling comes in, where it was like actually a borderline fight.
Yeah.
They really took the lumps and stuff. So these old famous Japanese, even if they were pro wrestlers, they had extensive submission training and catch,
Yeah.
and they were real fighters. These guys were real fighters
Yeah.
that just so happened to work the matches.
Hmm.
But I'm a bit disillusioned at this point with some of these guys. I wouldn't put it past somebody like Michael Chandler to take a payday,
Hmm.
know he's gonna lose if he, what do they call it, stands and bangs
Hmm.
with McGregor, but does it anyway.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You only need to have one guy working a match.
Hmm.
Not that he's taking a dive,
But he's
but
going in where he's gonna take
yeah,
risks
it's like,
for the
oh,
action.
if you if you put on a good fight,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a bonus.
Do you reckon he would McGregor would take that fight? Because I know they've lined it up and blah blah blah, but um, with him coming off a loss, uh, I don't know if you would take that. I think maybe Justin Gaethje versus McGregor. Um, would
Yeah,
be more
McGregor will beat
plausible.
both of those guys. And Chandler, how is he still in the UFC? He's like on a 10-fight losing streak. What the hell?
Well, I mean, like he's fought only the best guys, but he did look not. Yeah, he looked like he was not at his best in his last fight. Maybe slowing down, but yeah. I mean, I always like Chandler. He's
Immensely.
exciting. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you got a point. Uh, it's hard to say because
That's the best
McGregor's.
fight for McGregor.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, 100%. Because
He,
him versus Gaethje is dangerous. I think like McGregor a few years ago would have his way with Gaethje, in my opinion.
mm,
But I think like he's so past his prime. He's living it up, and Gaethje's a savage, like as much as like I don't, because he's saying like I'm not gonna have another fight unless it's for a title, or I'm gonna retire, like well retire then because, you're on a 1 fight win streak, you got knocked out by Max before that, you can't jump into a title fight, but
mm,
I would imagine he'd definitely come back to fight McGregor at the White House, you know what I mean, like to be on
mm.
that card. And like I was saying before, like, is it a little bit of a circus? Yeah, maybe, yes. But I mean, we know that we'd get the best card. Like, all the best guys are going to want to be on that card. So, like, I'd be down for it. And, like, in a way, it's kind of hilarious. In a way, it's kind of hilarious, Like, I could imagine them going, like, that extra step with, like, the fireworks and the jets flying over and stuff,
Like
flags
one of a
everywhere,
kind. Shit.
which I'm not against. Like personally, if I'm not an American, but I like him. I definitely understand why other people don't, but I'm a fan. Between the two choices, he was definitely the better choice in my opinion. Um,
I agree.
but yeah, I get why he's a bit much for some people, but
Yeah.
for me, I just think
You
he's
talking
funny.
about Trump? Yeah. Um. Yeah. Definitely like idiocracy, but we've had United States has had an actor as a president. This guy
Yeah,
Ronald Reagan
yeah,
in the
that's right.
'80s. He was like an actual actor,
Mm,
and Trump, he's a reality star.
yeah,
Um. How much is a show? How much is actually him?
but
Seems like he's a lot him.
he was um he was really famous before that TV show,
Oh yeah.
because I've had a few people say, "Oh, he's just a reality show guy," but then I was like,
Yeah,
"Nah, nah, nah." Trump was really famous before that. That's why he did that show. Um,
definitely.
but yeah, yeah,
Definitely be a unique event. I'm
definitely,
for it.
I'm
Hell yeah.
for it.
They had
um,
another one, UFC Fight for the Troops, kind of
yeah,
reminiscent of
that's
that.
right. Like a fight night. Yeah, that had did that have Joe Riggs on it? Was it Joe Riggs and uh shit, why am I blanking on his name? From
From
season
Kennedy?
1, the guy they compared you to him from season 1,
Diego?
Diogo Sanchez. Yeah, Diogo, that's right. I was just drawing a blank there for a second. Was that
He
fight?
fought Joe Riggs, huh?
I think so. I could be mistaken. It was a few years ago now, but yeah, if I remember
Um,
correctly.
there was a guy who got associated with Team Militich, which was Matt Hughes, Jeremy Horn, Tim Sylvia, Marcus Davis, Jens Pulver. All these guys came from Team Militich, and Joe Riggs.
Mm.
And there was a guy who was Joe Riggs's, um, I would call him a conditioning coach. Basically, he ran like the non MMA workouts,
Mm.
and he helped Joe Riggs with his weight cutting. His name was Billy Rush, and he worked with other fighters. I wouldn't say he was famous, but I connected with him through Jeremy Horn because Jeremy Horn was brought in by Matt Hughes just for like a week on Tough Two, and I was so impressed with him as a coach, and I wanted to get more training from him. You know, Jeremy Horn, he's got probably the most fights of anybody in
Mm.
MMA ever.
Yeah.
He's
Well
got
over
like
100.
100 fights and more.
Mm.
Were they all against the best? No, I mean, I when I went to go visit him before my what's his name, Jason Von Flew fight. So it was the first fight after the Ultimate Fighter. I went to stay with him,
Mm.
to train with him, but also for the high altitude of Salt Lake City, Utah, where he lives, and totally worth it. The guy I fought made a comment after, because me and Von Flew, we trained together
Mm.
on the show, and but because of the high altitude training, it my cardio was better as the fight wore on. He was starting to fade, and I was just stayed stayed busy. And he made a comment after it. So the high altitude training did work. I was
Mm.
only there for 2 weeks, but anyway, while I was there, Jeremy Horn, he's got his own fight team, and the guys were getting ready for fights. Like as I was there, we saw two fights.
Mm.
One was on a Friday, one was on a Saturday, two different bars in the same city. And it happens like every week. Like Salt Lake City, you go to, I think of the first night it was like the club, and they had a cage, they put a cage in. And then the second night was like at the Roadhouse style bar, and they had a cage in there. And it seemed like this was something that went on every weekend. So just like in Thailand, you got these guys sometimes fighting for a living. They're racking up 200, 300 matches
Mm.
because every weekend there's something doing. And Jeremy Horn, he's got like the opposite of a stand and bang style, where he's very patient. He's a smart fighter. You know, he
Mm.
uses his jujitsu to, even though he's not a pure jujitsu guy, he uses a lot of jujitsu to protect himself. And
Mm.
not a lot of people know Jeremy Horn's first martial art that he's a black belt in is ninjutsu.
True.
He's actually a legit ninja, and that's why I think he had that strategy, because ninjutsu is like real fighting. Like people think like, oh, ninjutsu is bullshit because you don't ever see any ninjutsu. Because ninjutsu fighters, it's not all about fighting; it's about survival.
Mm.
It's like real military arts. So he took that strategy into his fights. Anyway, long story short, I met Billy Rush at Jeremy Horn's gym, and I went back for another fight to train with Jeremy Horn, and Billy Rush was there too. And Billy Rush ran a couple of my post training with Jeremy Horn workouts, and yeah, I got into martial arts late. I got into martial arts when I was 15. So my body was developing, and some of it stuck with me, but it wasn't like I was wrestling from a young age.
Mm.
So my body has developed more than it was, but there's a difference in body types. Like if you are training, doing physical training from those toddler years or child years to the teens,
Mm.
there's a certain type of athleticism and strength that's built into your bones and your body that you just can't go back in time and do.
Mm.
So like we're seeing the next generation of fighters would actually destroy the previous generation, because they started MMA training
Mm.
when they were kids.
Mm.
And these are the guys that we're seeing now coming to the UFC, that are just complete fighters, complete, just like what they look like, world class fighters, right? Like I would say Ilya Taporia is one of them. He probably started training at a young age,
Mm.
and he's still young. Um, but anyway, Joe Diesel Riggs, uh, he, is he enhanced? Probably Militant's the whole team, but he, Billy Rush told me Joe Riggs was the most physically gifted athlete or fighter
Mm.
athlete that he had ever met. And so for Diego Sanchez, a guy who's so awkward, yes, he wrestled from a young age, so he's got that strength. Incredible fighter.
Mm.
He was undefeated at one point. When he got into the UFC, undefeated through King of the Cage, and I will always root for Diego just because of his outside the cage personality.
Mm.
He's a little. different, but he's so genuine, and I think he's a good role model as
Mm.
far as being a good person, and even as far as fighting style. Now his striking was suspect, and I always thought that I would be able to do good against him because his striking was so bad.
Mm.
But in hindsight, he just was. I remember
Tough.
seeing him uh, in a match against Marcelo Garcia,
Mm.
grappling only. Marcelo Garcia is the best grappler in the world at one point, and Diego held his own. I think he might have lost a decision, or he might have got submitted at the very end, but it was like a battle,
True.
and he probably would have kicked my ass too in an MMA fight. But uh, I never actually met him. I only saw him because he fought on the finale against Ken Flo. No, he beat Ken Flo in the finale. He
Mm.
fought somebody on my finale as like the main
Oh,
event.
true.
Was it? It might have been Nick. It might have been Nate Diaz.
Nice. I would have definitely seen it, but again, like it's a few years ago. I'll have
I'll
to-
look it up.
Speaking of Jeremy Horn,
Diego Sanchez main event, The Ultimate Fighter season 2 finale. Nick Diaz.
Nick Diaz. Oh yeah, I remember them fighting. Yeah, that's right.
He beat Nick Diaz on an unanimous decision.
Yeah, he had a lot of good wins. And some really banger fights. That one with Clay Guida, and then he had that. Oh man, me and my brain. He fought the guy coming over from Strikeforce, and he was their champion. Um, what's his name again? The Mexican guy. Do you know the one I mean? That had like a really good stats on the feet. I know his name, but it's just not coming to me.
Oh, Roger Huerta?
No, not Roger Horta. I'll look it up. Yeah, I remember. It's like always in highlights and stuff. Because he had that. It was similar to the Clay Guida one where it was just all out. Uh,
Damn, he was killing people, and then the end of his career, he's got a lot of losses now.
mm.
Holy.
All right, let's have a look.
Mickey Gall.
Gilbert Melendez. That's the one.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a banger as well.
Mm, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Nah, he was tough. Um,
What a legend.
and yeah, definitely a legend. He, fought BJ for the title. I mean, anyone that makes it all the way to a title fight is, like I always say, even making it to the UFC, you're a hard man, good fighter. But to make it all the way to fighting for a title, like, 100%.
For sure.
Yeah, you don't want to run
For
into
sure.
that guy. Uh, Speaking of Jeremy Horn, like obviously he's a legend of MMA, and he's fought like literally a who's who. Like you said, not all of them are the best guys, but some of them were. Like literally, that's someone
Oh,
that
yeah.
will take on all customers. What was he like as a person? He was like a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty laid back,
Yeah.
intense. Like what was he like?
Definitely laid back.
Laid back.
Yeah, I have a bit of memory loss from that, from, just all those years, but I remember he took me out on he's got this dirt bike collection.
Oh, nice.
But he let me ride like the tiny one. It looks like a kid's.
Oh,
Looks
pit
like a
bike.
kid's. Uh, what'd you call it? A pit bike?
Pit bike. Yeah, yeah. I know the ones you mean.
Yeah, it was like 100 cc's or something. The thing moved though.
Yeah, 110. Yeah, 4-stroke.
It's just a little. It felt like I was in a circus.
But
The
it's
thing just
loud.
zip down the road.
Yeah, I know the ones you mean. So he's in
And
he's in a motocross, eh? He likes dirt bikes.
he definitely settled down.
Yeah.
over the years. I think this was like the, just what he had still in his collection. But there's outdoors out there in the Midwest of the United States. So I'm from more like the suburbs here. We used
Yeah.
to ride our bicycles a lot, but out there they got more space, and
Yeah.
he's like he's into all that guns.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys get into tactical. They train the police, and then they get into the tactical aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
reckon that'd
just good.
be.
Very good.
I always said,
Very knowledgeable. He had like anything you need. If you wanted to be a fighter, he'll just guide you all the way there with everything.
yeah,
If you want.
yeah. I mean, what he fought Chuck Liddell for the title.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, like, and he was around like early days as well. Like even before, was it UFC 17 or something like that? He'd been around for a long time. Yeah.
And he was in that incredible tournament that Babalu won.
Yes,
It was
yes, that's right.
a
I had
one
that on
night
DVD.
tournament.
Yeah, I had that on
I
DVD.
remember I remember wanting Jeremy Horn to win so bad, but it was
Yeah.
such a stacked
Yes.
tournament. Incredible.
Didn't he beat Forrest
Uh,
Griffin in that as well? Do I?
yeah,
I think so.
he yeah. For his Forrest Griffin, Jeremy Horn, Babalu, and one other like
Dan
legend.
Severn. I think Dan Severn was in there as well.
Babalu. Okay. I actually got a talking to by Ray and Matt because they were offended that I would go train with, um, Jeremy Horn
True.
instead of them. Like, oh, what? We're not good enough. You know.
They weren't open to you guys training at other gyms as well.
Uh,
For like supplemental training.
it's probably something that they would have wanted to manage
Hmm.
to kind of like, like they get invested so much. I was watching something yesterday. The guy was saying, how much a mixed martial arts coach or a fighting coach gives of themselves, for they don't really get
Hmm.
the money that, like, it's not like a regular job. You put all these hours in, you're not getting paid that as much,
Hmm.
you know. So they probably felt like they had invested so much in me. I was like their fighter.
Hmm.
So they didn't want anybody
Poaching.
to take that away from them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I
Or
can.
even just control of the of the strategy.
Yeah.
Because I think of it like when you're training, you're typing in program, because when you fight, you're gonna fight how you trained.
Hmm.
So possibly they understood that, and they don't want somebody else in my ear
Hmm.
mixing up the game plan that they thought I should have for whatever fight it was.
Ah, okay. So yeah.
And then of course it's the homegrown thing, like what you're saying. Longos and Ray and Matt, their team was all homegrown. People that fought for them came up with them.
Hmm.
It's not like American Top Team where people go there to get managed,
Yeah.
or I'm trying to think of another example. You know,
Right. Yeah. That's a. The what's it? The Black Brazilians, or what was that one with
hmm
Vitor and all that?
hmm
But yeah, you're basically saying that it wasn't a gym full of guys that come over that have already fought in the UFC. These guys, like you said, s- they take you from the amateurs all the way up.
Yeah. So, or started not even training. Now with that MMA so popular, it's hard to find somebody that starts with a gym having nothing. Like most guys come in to an MMA gym
Mm.
from like wrestling
Mm.
or uh, like the Georgians, like Marab, they came all together. It was like a big influx, and a lot of them ended up at Longos
Mm.
through Marab. But like they trained before
Mm.
in Georgia, you know.
So,
So I would still consider it a homegrown gym. You know,
mm.
they're not at Longo's gym. They're not. I've seen guys come in like to train with Longo.
Mm.
George Sotiropoulos was one. He came to train with Matt because they had such good chemistry. And he ended up staying. He stayed for a long time. He was there years.
He's Australian, right?
And yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
just
remember him.
you remember?
He was he was one of the because he was on a bit of a win streak there for a bit, and I was like, oh fuck, if he could end up fighting for a title, and like back then, Australia, we didn't really have much in the way of an MMA scene, or we had Elvis Sinisek, and that was pretty much it.
Oh,
Like Elvis Sinisek, mind you, he submitted Jeremy Horn, and then he got that fight
yeah,
with
yeah.
Tito. The fact that he submitted Jeremy Horn's unreal. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. But yeah, I remember I think he fought. Is it Jeremy Stevenson? And then Jeremy Stevens, like he lost that fight, and then he went on and fought BJ, and that's when he had that. He got split up, and then there's pictures of him right getting off the cage, and his face is covered in blood. But yeah,
This is who are we talking about now, Diego?
no, no, no. Jeremy Stevenson.
Oh, so
Yeah,
Jeremy Stevenson.
yeah,
He fought BJ.
yeah, yeah,
Right
yeah,
on.
yeah. For the title.
Joe Stevenson.
Joey Stevenson. Sorry, brother. Yeah, Joey
Yeah,
Stevenson. Yeah, I'm getting
that's
my
a.
names.
Thought you meant Jeremy Stevens.
No, yeah. I was just getting mixed up. Yeah,
He's doing
Joey
well.
Stevenson. Yeah, he fought. If I remember correctly, they fought, and then when he beat uh, Stropolopoulos, he fought BJ Penn. But yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
it's
I
so
see.
many fights. It's hard to remember everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Sotiropoulos, such a good dude, like to have on the team.
Yeah.
Uh, like every day, he trained twice a day, rain or shine. That's his life.
Hmm.
You know, that's why they called him George of Sparta. He lived the fighter's life, the soldier's lifestyle.
Hmm.
Woke up, ate the same thing, went for his run, did his first training, came back for lunch, took a nap, went to the gym again at night, ate dinner, went to sleep. Right, every day, same exact thing.
Hmm.
So he was so conditioned. Now I think maybe it wore him down a little bit over the years, because now with the science of exercise physiology, they do say you need rest days,
Hmm.
because you just wear your body down. But
Hmm.
anyway, he came with Drago for one of the fight nights. It was the night I fought a guy named Edilberto Crocota. Edilberto Crocota de Souza, I think his full name. And uh, George Sotiropoulos came with Drago because Drago was on that card, and he came to be Drago's training partner for the days leading up to the match in Vegas. We went out like a week early or whatever.
Hmm.
So it was Drago, me, and George basically training together by ourselves till Matt got there, or Ray, for several days before the fight. So one of the days we go to the track, we go to do some running, and I tried to keep up with George, and we were doing hill sprints too.
Hmm.
This was the most sore in my lungs, like my chest, the next day and the day after that. it was like getting close to the fight. It was like the day before the fight, and I'm like, I ran so hard to keep up with this guy. My chest is sore. But I tell you, you try and keep up with a guy like that, you just nothing else, nothing in the fight is going to be worse than the training.
Mm. And that's what they always say. You just get confidence from knowing that you left no stone unturned and you've done everything you can in training. Gives you that
Yeah,
confidence.
training's got to be harder than the fight. That's
Mm.
true. It's
Um,
hard to replicate though, because it's you don't ever really have that intensity of somebody like in a fight who's really trying to hurt you
yeah,
in your gym. In your gym, you shouldn't anyway.
yeah. Nah, definitely. It does seem to happen though, way more than it should.
It's the experience. But everybody in their first fight gasses out. Everybody in their second fight usually gasses out.
Mm.
Third fight, fourth fight, fifth fight, you start to see guys get a little bit better cardio just from being used to the fighting.
Mm.
Then you get a guy like Jeremy Horn. He's so relaxed. A fight is like a sparring session to him.
Yeah. I mean, if you've had over 100 fights, I guess that's gonna happen.
Yeah. Drago used to say, he used to call it another day in the office.
I was gonna mention about Drago because he was always one of the ones I really liked. What was he like?
Drago, awesome dude.
Yeah.
Fun,
Yeah.
bit of a party animal.
Ah, yeah.
Like like I think we saw it on his season. He got drunk and they had to put subtitles. Just the only guy speaking English with subtitles.
Yeah.
Um, but we used to meet on Sundays at Matt's gym, and I uh, I was part of the generation of fighters, which was kind of like transitioning. Like you had in the beginning, it was style versus style, right?
Mm.
Then you start to get these hybrid fighters that come from one style, but they train everything. And then I think my generation after that was the same thing. You had fighters that had a specialty but trained in everything, but we were like the second generation of that. So it started to be a little bit not not more not more technical, because it's like the skill wasn't changed. It was more, the strategy was a little different,
Mm.
especially in the training. So we started to see things like a mixed martial arts practice. They started to do things like the pro practice or whatever.
Mm.
So it wasn't like, I do jujitsu, but I'm gonna train with a boxer. It was like, all right, I'm gonna have my jujitsu class. I'm gonna have my striking class, and I'm also gonna have conditioning. Right, we're gonna have sports specific conditioning, and this is a difference in strategy of the training. So me thinking as basically a kung fu stylist that transitioned to more Jeet Kune Do and the sport of MMA. I was always the guy getting grounded and pounded. Always, whether it was a jiu-jitsu guy, whether it was a wrestler, whether it was a mixed martial arts guy. When I lost due to control,
Mm.
octagon control, which basically means they got me down and I was using jiu-jitsu to survive, but getting grounded and pounded. So I tried to simulate in training, like worst case scenario. So I had several guys that I trained with on a regular basis that were really good grapplers, and I'm gonna try to pull up this helmet that I used. Here it is. Let's flip the camera around if that's cool.
Yeah, man.
All right, I'm gonna try to zoom in maybe. I can't.
So
All right,
it's
I'll
like
just come in close.
headgear with like a cage in front of the face, or
All right, so this is the first one I had. I'll bring these pictures in. This was the first style of headgear that I had.
oh yeah,
It comes from basically karate or point karate. And my first grappling coach, this was at Ray Longo's Jeet Kune Do gym. So Matt at this point already had his own place. So one of Matt's students who trained at Ray's, he at the time was a blue or a purple belt, and he ran the grappling program at Longo's. It was only like 2 or 3 times a week, and it was basically give people the basics, and if they wanted to learn more, they would get referred over to Matt's gym. So I had this, and this guy was also a power lifter. So he was well over 200 pounds and a better grappler than me. Right. And so I was wearing this, and he would get on top of me in like the guard position and be grounding and pounding me, and I had to use jiu-jitsu to protect myself. This is with the MMA gloves, right?
yeah,
So normal training, you see it on the embeddeds, and anytime you go to somebody's YouTube channel, you see them sparring MMA. They got what? Boxing gloves and shin pads. And that's basically it. Some of them wear knee pads. They don't wear headgear, yada, yada. I thought to myself, all right, we're going to use the MMA gloves, so I'm going to need some type of face protection. You see how it's plastic, though?
yeah. What was it like? Did it hold together okay?
The first time it cracked, my heavyweight sparring partner cracked it. I said, oh, shit. Got another one. Cracked again. So the next style of face mask that I had, I don't even think they make it anymore. It was kind of like this. You see, I don't know if you could see down here, there's a grid.
Yeah.
So if you've ever seen, you know what I'll do? I'll show you
It's like almost
roller
like
hockey helmet with face cage. Yeah, it was like this.
Ah, yeah. Yep. Nice.
But this was made by a company called Ringside, and I was sparring with Tom Muller, who was a black belt under Matt Serra and a heavyweight. And he actually got on to the Ultimate Fighter Season 2. We both tried out together, and we both made it, but he decided he didn't want to fight for the UFC, so he didn't follow through with it. I think he would have won because he was a black belt in jiu-jitsu and a black belt in karate, and he trained with Ray, so his striking was really good. He dented this cage, and the metal cut my nose.
Shit.
I don't know if you can see. I got a scar on
on
the front of my nose.
Fuck.
So that was that, and then finally, I ended up with this style of face cage.
Oh, yeah.
So this was the one. This was the one that we ended up using because this plastic bar, it doesn't break.
Yeah.
And Drago and I and another training partner called Monster, his name is Gabriel. He's also a black belt under Matt. and there's a couple of guys too. Chris Schlesinger, who was a a great wrestler from the same school where Weidman went,
Mm.
and so with these, mostly those three guys, Drago, Monster, and called him Crazy Chris. He's Panda BJJNY now.
Yeah.
Crazy Chris. And anyway, I had that mask, and I had a little bit of money at this point because I'm in the UFC, so I bought several different sizes. I had to get like small, medium, large, see which one fit,
Mm.
and the MMA gloves. And I'm gonna show you martial armor.
So that one there,
From
that held together all right though. That didn't break or anything. That last form.
Yeah, the only thing you got to watch out with that is that the plastic is so hard
Mm.
that if you're not careful, you could hurt your own hand.
Mm.
So this is the wrong one. It's got to be elbow.
I guess it puts them off from punching you too hard then. It protects you and puts them off.
Yeah. Yeah. Wish. So these are the elbow pads that I ended up with. They're by Century Martial Arts.
Oh, yeah.
And because this was my life, and so I tried all the different types of equipment.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to improve myself and find the best equipment for that. And so the martial armor I found was the best elbow pad that didn't slide. It covered from here to here, so the whole elbow pad was covered. So Drago, me, Monster, Crazy Chris, trying to think of anybody else. We would meet up on Sundays, and it wasn't always all four of us. A lot of times, it was just me and Drago. And we went back and forth where one guy'd be on bottom, one guy'd be on top. We'd both be wearing the headgear. We'd both be wearing the MMA gloves and the elbow pads, and just practicing ground and pound, bro. And Drago was really good grappling, especially compared to me. So, like I said, my memory's hazy, but I'm sure he would have grounded and pounded the hell out of me. And I tried to also, it was a time in my life when I definitely didn't understand about brain injury, but I had a little bit of a trigger where, if somebody got me good, I would try to get them even better. And as I think of it now, I definitely got Drago a couple of good times with punches. And, I think it's unfortunate that we had to do these things to each other. And I'm not just talking about me and Drago, but just as a species, as martial artists.
Yeah.
We had to go through this dark period where we're finding out about brain injury only because people ended up with it. But Drago's doing well from what I could see. He still teaches. He's got a regular job as well. He's got a family. And he's one of those guys that, you could see him years later. I would assume, just from what I remember about us training together and him as a guy. You see him after all these years, and the joke should be right on.
Yeah, like nothing has changed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And as a fighter, I think he was pretty good. He got decent at boxing from training with Longo, and he had some nice moves, man. I think he had a couple of matches where if something else happened, he would have went a lot further. Unfortunately, I think he got really hurt in his fights versus, what's his name? The guy who was from Team Quest, Nate Quarry.
Ah, yeah, yep.
Nick Corey really hurt him, and
Nate Quarry
the
was really
Scott
good
Smith
though. He
fight.
went on to fight for a title, so I mean, there's no shame in that. That Scott Smith one though you just mentioned, that's a
Yeah.
where he fakes the injury and then comes back with the overhand. Like,
No, the only thing is he wasn't faking it. That's the thing.
yeah. Well, I mean,
He
yeah,
just
fair
pulled it
point.
out of his ass.
He just like, yeah, all right, yeah. That was still like unreal though. I remember watching that and just going, because this is the thing as well. Like, I saw some pay-per-views back then, but they were hard to like it's not as accessible as now. And we didn't have pay-per-view at home or anything like that. We are kind of poor. So I would get the DVD, and then it was all new to me. You know what I mean? Like, it may as well be live, you know. And I remember when I watched it, I was like, "Oh shit!" You know, like you just didn't see that coming. But
No, definitely
yeah,
not.
it's like I was saying before. Like, I wish I had a bit more time and I could go back through and watch all the old fights, because I remember a lot of them, but like, you know, yeah, it gets hard to remember all the fights because just because there's so many of them and it's been a few years now. But yeah, I always remember liking Drago. He was like probably one of like my more favorite fighters, to be honest. I always liked Drago. He was
Nice.
cool, and to hear that he was
Cool
a
for
good
sure.
guy, that's cool. That's good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely one of my major partners
Nice.
back then for training. Yeah. So we came up together in the ring of combat and close enough in weight. He was 185. He fought at 185. I fought at 170.
Yeah,
So we were right there next to each other.
he's quite a bit bigger than you though. I mean, like that.
He's
You
thicker, yeah.
yeah, because like you were saying before, you never really cut any weight. Like, he was
Yeah.
quite a bulky guy.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think he wasn't even big enough for 185. He did fight at 170.
Yeah,
Also, I forgot who it was against. I want to say Joe Riggs,
yeah.
but
I
that's
remember
where
him
he
going
should have fought.
down, but I don't
Yeah.
remember any of the fights or who he fought. But I do remember he went down in weight. But again, time and all that, you know. If I was doing this
It was
in
tough.
2005, I could rattle off every single fight and everything. But you know, over the years, you know. But you were
More
actually
fights and less time.
yeah, yeah, like it, yeah, 70 hours a week, bruh. From 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. every single day.
Mm.
Plus, I have a wife, so I have to give time to her. Otherwise, you know, if I want to still stay married, and then doing this,
Good idea.
and I try to squeeze in a little bit of training at home, but you know, honestly, that gets pushed aside a bit now. But yeah, I remember you were supposed to have another fight in the UFC, right? You had a fight lined up.
Yeah, I pulled out of my last fight. It was going to be against an American top team guy who was who was already in the UFC. He had lost one or two. He went down one league to like whatever his feeder organization was in Florida, and he won. No, it wasn't Luigi. It was like a smaller version of Luigi Fioravanti. I forgot the guy's name. Um, he probably would have kicked my ass too. He was a brown belt in jiu-jitsu at the time, and he had just recovered from a pec tear, or he had a pec tear in his history that I looked up, and I thought to myself, that usually only happens from guys that are pushing so much weight,
Mm.
that they had to
I
that happened.
yeah.
But I can't remember the guy's name. Mario? No, that's not Mario. I'm thinking Mario because the last guy I fought before that was Luigi.
Yeah. So
It wasn't
what happened
Mario.
with that? Why did you decide
But
not to?
well, let's see. When I left the Ultimate Fighter, let's say when I got on the Ultimate Fighter, I had a friend
Mm.
who made my my application video. And yeah, basically I had some fight footage, some training footage, and then an interview. And so for the interview, I said basically I wanted to fight to make enough money to buy a greenhouse and live off of the produce
Mm.
that I grew. And so at that point, I was I had an associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree for biology, and I was transferring to the higher education for forest management and greenhouse management. I had to go upstate. It was an 8 hour. It was like a half a day bus ride or a full day bus ride, and I was trying to do that. This was after Stevenson, before Von flew, or maybe after Von flew. I forgot. It was just around that time, and I was trying to train, do my studies up there during the week, and then Friday I would take the train down, and then I would train here with Longo and Sarah, and I ended up dropping out of college. Reason why I bring this up is because fighting wasn't the goal.
Yeah.
I ended up getting married, and we had a plan, like a 5-year plan, where I would make enough money to support the family, and that she could leave her job as a teacher and do homeschooling,
Yeah.
because we wanted our kids to be unvaxxed and uncircumcised and, homeschooled. Um, Now, a few fights in, I had the Jonathan Goulet match, and I didn't get TKO'd, but I got elbowed on the top of my head where my vision went out, and I didn't know it at the time, but that was a brain injury. And in the cab to the hospital, I was crying from the concussion, and I told my girlfriend at the time, who later became my wife, and the jiu-jitsu coach who I was telling you about earlier, who broke that mask on me.
Mm.
They were riding with me, and in tears, I said, I don't want to do this anymore. My body was telling me to get out, because unbeknownst to me, the and a lot of people, the danger, the injury, and all that.
Mm.
So after Goulet, and after I said that I didn't want to fight anymore, kind of like the dust settled. A couple months later, I was thinking, it's like chasing that feeling of being a winner again, or maybe needing money because I got a wife now, whatever, girlfriend. I scheduled another fight. I won that one. Of course, I'm not thinking of quitting after a win.
Mm.
I won the next one. Of course, I'm not thinking of quitting after a win. Then I lost 2 in a row, and I had my son, my first son, somewhere in there. So I don't know if it's being a parent that changes you. Something changed me. It also could have been the repetitive subconcussive impact and subsequent brain injury, because that actually causes lower testosterone.
Mm.
So I somehow lost that drive to keep fighting, and I was getting spooked. The last fight I had against Hamden McCrory, I was backstage. They had a guy who was taking pictures for a UFC coffee table book where each page or each fighter has two pictures before the fight, as they're going out to the cage, and after the fight.
Yeah.
It's a UFC coffee table book, and it's got all these fighters before and after. I don't know if I made it into the final print, but I'm waiting backstage behind the curtain, mind you, about to go out. They're announcing people, blah, 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 announcing us, the crowd's cheering. And this guy takes a picture. He's like, "You ready for your picture?" Little did I know it was one of those cameras with the huge circular flash.
Mm.
And this guy flashed me right in the eyes, and I couldn't see. I'm blind, getting ready to go out and fight. And now my vision comes back, and I got a circle, the shape of the flashing light burned into my retina. I'm like, holy crap. First I'm blind. Now I got this circle I'm like blinking, and then I hear them announce me, and I hear the crowd.
Mm.
It was before they announced me, but I'm just waiting behind the curtain, waiting for them to announce me. And then I hear the crowd. And I got this feeling, James, like I was a gladiator. You remember when in the movie Gladiator, they're sitting there, they're waiting to go out,
Yeah.
and they hear the crowd. But the crowd it wasn't cheering. They weren't being like, "Yeah, let's go, Luke." They were cheering like they're ready to see a spectacle. They're ready to see somebody get their ass kicked. They're ready to see blood. And I just got so spooked. Like, holy shit, I'm going out to my doom. That's the feeling that I got.
Yeah.
That was my last fight. I just couldn't get the training that I needed. My heart wasn't in it anymore.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I decided after Goulet I didn't want to fight anymore, and then I fought four more times for the money. I remember this is what I'm remembering right now. When I had my son, and I was holding him, and we had the childproof gates up. So I'm stepping over this gate because I'm holding him in my hands. I couldn't open the gate, so I had to step over it. And it's high, supposed to be higher than a toddler. So it's like above my waist. And so I take my knee and I thrust it over the gate like I'm doing a knee strike.
Mm.
And so I go over and I go, boom, knee strike. And then I'm like, oh, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, this counts as training. Just for a second there, I'm like, all right, here I am holding my son. I do one knee strike. I do another knee strike. And I'm like, yeah, you think you're actually training right now for a fight? And it was just at that moment, I thought to myself, I'm like, yeah, actually, I can't do both. You know, I'm not going to get the training that I need to
Mm.
do good in the fight. This guy's young, hungry. When you tear a pec, they're giving you, especially American Top Team, they're giving you that good stuff to help you repair quicker.
Mm.
And he wants to get back in the UFC. And I just had this premonition of, because Luigi was a bigger version of this guy, but this guy was going to be faster. So I was just thinking of the ground and pound that Luigi gave me, and I had this vision of like my bloody head on the mat, like I had just been grounded and pounded into a TKO. But I messaged the guy at the time who was the matchmaker, is Joe Silva,
Yeah.
and he was who I went through. If I wanted to fight, I sent him an email. I didn't go talk to Dana or anybody. I just went because I was self-managed. I didn't even go through Longo. I got his approval. If I said this is the guy they want me to fight, I'd tell Ray. But I was self-managed, so I emailed Joe Silva. I said, "Bro, I can't do this anymore. I got to pull out of my fight. I'm not coming back." He goes, "Okay." He was understanding. He said, "Do what you got to do." He said, "What's the reason though?" I said, "I don't really have a reason, bro. I just can't do it."
Yeah.
He goes, well, I got to say something. I can't just say you pulled out for no reason. I got to give him a reason. I said, all right, just tell him I'm injured. And it was it was the beginning, I would say, the seeds of Master Lukey's League of Champions, because I just didn't have that that killing
Killer instinct.
feeling anymore. Yeah, killer instinct. There you go. Like when I fought, I remember there's a quote on the Ultimate Fighter. They were trying to get me to talk about Sam Morgan because I was doing the confessional for the semifinals. So beating Sam Morgan got me into the finals. And I just remember, thinking and telling them, because they're fishing these these blurbs out of you. They got to get the clip for the video. So they're asking you leading questions, blah blah blah. And I said, look, all I can really see right now is violence. Every day we're training, we're sparring. We got to go into the cage tomorrow and hurt each other. I'm in such a world of violence right now. And I go, I don't want that. For me, I got
Mm.
to do it to him.
And you feel like the catalyst of that was when you were behind the curtains and you could hear the crowd. It started from there, and then it just progressed to the point where you're like, this isn't who I am
Well,
anymore. I don't want to do this
well,
anymore.
yeah, so what I'm saying is that when I fought Sam Morgan, that violence, it didn't turn me off. All I felt was this has got to be him
Mm.
and not me. But then it's got to be having my son. Makes you think differently about things, or not even makes you think, because it was a feeling.
Mm.
I wasn't thinking like I can't hurt people. It's just like I just can't do this.
Yeah.
It's either, and I think that something about it, having a life like in your arms, it changed me.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. I have heard a lot of
Yes.
people say that, that having kids changes you, and it's something that I hope one day that my wife and I can experience as well. We've had some troubles
You'll
with
be
it,
the
but
best dad, I could tell, man. You'll be the best dad.
thanks, brother. I really think so as well, honestly. I know my strengths and weaknesses, and I'm not good at everything, obviously. No one is. But I really think I'd be a good dad. So, I mean, I hope that it happens, man. We haven't had any luck, and I feel like we're running out of time, but because we're going to the Philippines in a few months to see Rowena's family, and because I work a lot, but I'm the man of the house. It's my responsibility. But Rowena works a lot as well, and I want her to work less and be like a priority for us. You know, I mean, we've done tests and stuff. We haven't found any problems so far, but there's more tests we could do. Basically, what I'm saying is, like, do everything that we can to try to make it happen instead of saying, oh, hopefully one day it will happen, because, like, yeah, we have a lot of responsibilities. We have a mortgage, and like, when I say this, I'm being hyperbolic, but like I said to her, worst case scenario, if you stop working, we don't make enough money and we lost the house. I was like, fuck the house. Who cares? Fuck all this shit. Like, I don't want to miss out on having a family. Obviously, I would never let that happen. You know, I'm pretty resilient. I've worked 7 days a week for like 3 years now in a pub that's quite rough. Um, I would, I would never let that happen. But my point being is, all this stuff, it's not, it not like, it, it doesn't mean anything when in comparison if we were to miss out on, having kids and having a real family. So,
Mhm.
you know,
You're right.
I could definitely, I could sympathize and see where you're coming from. Um, I
You're a good
mean,
man.
like, obviously fighting the UFC is nothing in comparison to what I deal with, but it's not safe there either, like, I see knives and shit all the time. And I could definitely see myself being like, I don't really want to be around this now. I have a family, but I'll do whatever is necessary to make sure that you know we have what we need and that we have a home and stuff. But yeah, I would like to. At the end of the day, man, like I work a lot because one, I was stupid when I was young and I wasn't good with my money, and you know, two, I don't have kids now, so I sacrifice now. So hopefully I can
Mm,
have a little bit more options when I do
mm,
have kids. But
that's
yeah,
smart. Oh yeah.
how old are your? So you have one or two kids? How many kids do you have?
I got two boys.
Two, and how old are they?
Yeah. Well, I don't really have them. They live with their mom. One of them doesn't talk to me anymore.
Sorry, Lucky.
Yeah, it sucks.
Well, obviously, we're friends. We're not super close because we haven't known each other for a long time and we haven't been together in person, etc. But
Yeah.
like, I would consider you my friend, right? And
Yeah. Same.
hopefully, I believe, at some point we're gonna meet each other in person,
Oh
And
yeah.
from what I see, you're a good person, Like, I don't know what's happened in the past, Um,
Yeah.
we all make mistakes, but at the end of the day, I meet a lot of people that aren't good people,
Mhm.
and I definitely think you are a good person. So
That means
hopefully
a
one
lot from
day,
you. Thank you.
thanks, man. One day, hopefully, you can mend that bridge.
Yeah.
But either way, man, I'm always going to be here for you. Because the thing with me is like, if I think you're worthwhile, like, and if you're a friend of mine, um, I'm the sort of person that I'd give my shirt off my back. I'd do whatever I can for the people that are in my circle. If you're not in my circle, though, not that I'm an asshole, but I couldn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Because I think also just, I don't know, my experiences through life has made me a little bit like that. You know what I mean? Where
Mm.
you know. But if you're in my circle, if you're a friend, or even if I think, oh, yeah, I don't know this person, but they're really in need, then I'll go out of my way. But anyway, yeah,
Mhm.
going on a bit of a tangent.
It happens.
But yeah,
I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you too, Luke. You're a good man. But
That remains to be seen. We'll see. Keep going.
oh, I think you're a good man. What do you do? You think you're a good man? I mean, you're gonna know better than anyone
No
else.
comment. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm trying to become one.
Yeah.
Try and get like you.
Hey, man. Like I said before, I looked up to you, so my hat goes to you, brother. You're Master Lukey. I'm just, the
Mhm.
facilitator of this. You're the legend, not me. But
Well, I'm. What is it? I'm the. You're the color commentator.
yeah, I'm
I'm
like
like the
well,
Joe
I'm bald.
Rogans. I'm.
Yeah,
I'm
I,
Daniel Cormier.
I'm bald, so I can be like an uglier version of Joe Rogan, but more charming.
Nice. There you go.
Bloody yeah. So I guess we'll move on to our next topic. So
Sounds good.
Magomed Ankalaev apparently is moving on without Alex Pereira because apparently Pereira won't be ready in time. Uh, what potential matchups do you reckon you could see happening?
So I'm not too knowledgeable about Ankalaev. He's 205, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and he
He
beat who? Jiri?
yeah. He beat Prohaska to get the title. I mean, he beat Pereira. Sorry, Alex Pereira to get the title.
Oh,
And
he did.
yeah.
Oh,
It was close.
decision.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
close. I honestly thought Ankalaev was gonna maybe have his way with him more, as in like getting him to the ground. That's what I thought.
Mm.
Because I mean, like,
I see.
Izzy. I mean, like, and I'm not, like I always say, I'm not putting Pereira down. He was a
Yeah.
champion, multiple division champion, had a lot of defenses. He's obviously great. But if Izzy can get him down and control him on the
Mm.
ground, then, I'm thinking Ankalaev is definitely going to be able to get him down and have his way with him. But it didn't really go
Uh-huh.
that way. And it was, for the most part, like a striking affair.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it was a close fight. So personally, I reckon it would be Prohaska. Yuri Prohaska would be next in line for a shot.
Okay.
You know who Yuri Prohaska is? He used to have
Yeah.
the tompo,
Yep.
ponytail.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, definitely.
I think that'd be a cool
He
fight.
he's good. I mean, he's got a little bit of weakness in his striking, I would say, if anything. Um, Ankalaev, the style that comes out of his area of the world is pretty rock solid. Whether they're sambo, which is a complete style, they have striking and grappling, or like some of them they do sansho, which is the kung fu version of kickboxing with takedowns.
True, I've never heard of that art before.
Sancho is, you heard of Kung Lee.
Yeah,
Kung Lee's a Sancho fighter.
true.
It's basically Muay Thai with takedowns, and then they stand you back up.
Okay.
So
Like, sorry to interrupt. Like takedowns, as in
yeah,
like wrestling
any
takedowns, or just like
any
takedowns like they do in Thai, where they trip you and stuff like that.
any type of takedown.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ankalaev, he's a complete fighter, and reason why I'm saying like from his area of the world is it's an established system that has a line of champions with a repeatable uh, a repeatable process of success. Jiri, he's making it up as he goes along. Let's
Mm.
be honest. I
He's
mean,
pretty
he's got
unorthodox.
training. He's got a lot of training, but he's his own coach. He's his own person. If you're fighting Magomed Ankalaev, you're not fighting Magomed Ankalaev. You're fighting Russia.
Mm.
Every fighter out of Russia is the same. And let me explain what I mean. You're not getting anybody in the UFC from Russia. And I'm just using Russia as a blanket term for everybody who's not in Europe or India. You know,
I, I
I
I
know
feel where you're going
it's
with.
not Russia anymore, it's different countries,
Yeah.
you know. If you're fighting somebody from Russia, you're fighting the system. You're
Mm.
fighting everybody that he beat to get to the UFC.
Yeah.
It's like I fought a couple of guys from Tiger Schulman's. They have a reputation for being a McDojo because they're so financially successful.
Mick Dojo.
Yeah. They go, oh,
that's
Tiger
that's
Schulman, because they have so many schools, people hate on them.
yeah.
But every fighter who comes out of Tiger Schulman had to beat every other student
Yeah.
to represent Tiger Schulman,
Yeah.
to represent Russia. Ankalaev, he's went through their system.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, he's had this type of training that you saw Khabib do, running. They're doing the rocks. I
Yeah.
mean, every day, Jiri Prohaska, he might want to take a day off here and there.
Mm.
He might meditate. He might do Tai Chi. He might, you know, go train at a different gym or spar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I was reading an article the other day. Why do people still eat fast food? It was kind of a rhetorical question, but the answer that came back, I was reading the hundreds of responses. The answer, most of the answers was the same: consistency. You go to a McDonald's in New York, it's going to taste the same as a McDonald's in California. It's going to taste the same as the McDonald's in Australia.
Yeah.
It's going to taste the same as the McDonald's in China and Europe. It's consistency, and
Convenience.
that's what you're getting with Magomed Ankalaev. You're getting consistency.
Mm.
Jerry Prohaska, he might have, he might be like somebody at the farmer's market. They got this beautiful burger that they're making for you,
Mm.
but it's hit or miss. Could be hit or miss,
Yeah.
and maybe it's not. You know, it wasn't made for everybody.
Mm.
Like Magomed Ankalaev, the Russian system, their their strategy
Mm.
is when you go to a battle
Mm.
and you don't know who you're fighting,
Mm.
you have to have all your bases. You have to have all your holes sealed up.
Yeah.
There's no weakness.
Nah,
Now
but
it's a fight. Anything can happen.
yeah.
And Magomed Ankalaev, he's not a bulletproof. And Jerry Prohaska, he's powerful. He's got skills, obviously. I
Mm.
just don't see him as a smart fighter.
Mm.
I see him as kind of an anomaly
He's
that he's
unorthodox, that's
he
for
does,
sure.
yeah, he does things that looks good and
Yeah.
he's had success, but when you're talking about fighting at the elite level, it's not there's no guesswork.
Mm.
It's the basics
Mm.
drilled down to the perfection that they could be, and then from then it's strategy.
Mm. Yeah,
And I
that's
think Jerry is he doesn't really have a a enough time to because you could have any strategy you want. You don't have to have the Russian strategy.
mm.
You could have the Brazilian strategy, which is more like what Anderson Silva did.
Mm.
If they're not a back in the day, the early days of Vale Tudo,
Mm.
the predecessor to the UFC, you had two opposing camps. You had the jiu-jitsu guy, you had the Luta Livre guy.
Mm.
And they always fought each other. You also had the Muay Thai guy, which was like shoot box. Anderson Silva, beforehand
Marco
Vanderlei
Huas.
Silva, Jose Pele Landy.
Yeah.
Marco Huas, he was Luta Livre.
Oh, okay.
Luta Livre was the kids that were too poor to do Gracie Jiu Jitsu. They couldn't afford the kimono,
Yeah.
so they couldn't train at the Jiu Jitsu school. But they learned some of the techniques, and they
Okay.
saw people fighting, and they fought them, and they took back the techniques with them.
Mm.
But Luta Libre means free fight, so they
Okay.
weren't stuck with just Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah. Yep.
They did. You had some guys doing a little bit of capoeira in there. You had some guys doing the Muay Thai.
Mm.
So I think the Brazilian style, I'll call it the Brazilian style, is Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu.
Mm.
It's more like what I do. American style, I would say it's more boxing and wrestling.
Yeah.
And the Russian style is sambo,
Mm.
which is good grappling and good striking. Not the best at either,
Mm.
but it's definitely a complete system. And I think I could be wrong. I think that's what Ankalaev is. He could be the other Russian style, which is more Chinese influenced,
Mm.
which is what I was saying with the San show. That guy Abraham Lincoln, crazy Abraham Lincoln. I
Uh.
forgot his name.
Yeah.
He says he's coming back.
Yeah. Fuck. I know who you mean. Oh.
Skinny nose.
Yes.
Looks like called him Meth Jesus, I think too.
Meth. Jesus. I know who you mean. Yeah. He was on a mad run and then like just retired. I can't even remember why.
Yeah, he's actually a kung fu stylist.
True.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's the other Russian style. It comes more from the east,
yeah.
influenced by China. It would be a fight that I don't know if that was the main event. I don't know that I would stay up to watch it. To be honest, I
No.
don't. I'm not a huge Jiri fan enough to stay up for him and Ankalaev. I don't want to offend any of the Russian fighters, but they're so good at fighting, they never developed any like mic skills or
Mm,
promotion. It's just like all about being the best fighter.
mm.
Whereas even though McGregor is washed, like
Mm.
they say he's washed, everybody's tuning into his next fight.
Yeah, definitely.
He's just gonna talk it up so good.
In his prime, though, he was fucking good in 145. But he had that thing, like, kind of like Jones or like some of these other guys that they're quite big for the division, you know, like really narrow, like skinny hips, broad shoulders, and just have that reach and, you know, that ability to slide out and slide back in,
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah,
and you see them when they go up and fight guys at a similar height and reach, that they struggle a little bit more. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't want to necessarily go as far to say as they rely on having that advantage, but I guess I am. You know, like they get used to building that style of having that advantage, and then when it gets taken away, yeah, they're a bit more human, as you saw when he fought Diaz. But yeah, in 145, he's definitely one of the best of all time at 145. Even though he wasn't in there for long, like the guy he was good. What do you think?
Yeah. I think you're always better off going as low as possible for a couple of reasons. One, like you said, your attributes are going to be better. You're going
Yeah.
to be bigger, stronger, faster. But number two, as a fighter, as anybody who's trying to accomplish something, the more you have to struggle to get it, the better it's going to be.
Mm.
The more work, the more work that's put into a piece of art, as long as they don't mess up, all those little details is going to make the art more valuable. You know, the old saying, the fighter's supposed to be hungry.
Mm.
The fact that McGregor had such a brutal cut, it made him in his uh, outside of the training be more disciplined in his diet.
Mm.
It made him train harder.
Mm.
It, if you can um, go into a weight class where you're not going to have to cut so hard,
Mm.
maybe you don't diet as hard.
Mm.
And clean eating is the it's not just the best for weight loss, it's the best for performance.
Yeah.
So I always would recommend for somebody, especially as a fighter, to get to the lowest weight possible. And that's just in general. I'm not even saying cut the most weight, because
Mm.
I think some guys cut too much and that affects their performance. Like,
Trying to come in too big.
not what I'm saying is, I don't think people should go to a lower weight class for the first reason, to be bigger, stronger, faster. I think people should go to a lower weight class to make them be more disciplined.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, like they say, you got to be hungry for success.
Yeah, and he definitely fucking looked hungry on that scale.
Yeah.
Bloody and like obviously when I say this, you know, bank balance wise is different, but as far as his career goes, the whole Mayweather thing is probably the worst thing that could have ever happened to his like fighting career. Again, to reiterate, it definitely wasn't the worst thing to happen to his bank balance. He made plenty of money, like a lot of money,
Mm.
and
Mm.
any other fighter would have done the same thing. But
Okay.
like that, just between when he beat Alvarez and then and the Mayweather fight, it just took a while. Like there was a big chunk out of his career there, and then he had the Mayweather fight, and then it was like a few years before he come back again. It just, and then when he fought, because personally I thought he was going to beat Khabib, and I still believe that if he fought differently, that he could have beat him. And on that note, even his coach after the fight, I'm forgetting the name of his coach, but he was saying, "I'm done with him. I'm never fucking working with him again." He didn't follow the game plan at all. He didn't listen to anything
Oh
I
wow.
said. So it's not just
Hmm.
me saying it, but it was just like, why would you press Khabib and make it easier for him to take you down? I thought that he
Ah.
would like be more on the back foot and fluster
Mm.
Khabib, and then be on angles and maybe catch him with something. Because Khabib
Mm.
is a great fighter, like he's an all timer, blah blah blah, but he's very hittable.
Yeah.
Like before you
Mm.
seen him, before he because his best run was as a champion, but a lot of his fights you seen him pinged. Like he didn't have great hands. The only reason why, like for example, he caught McGregor in that fight,
Oh yeah.
but it's just that risk of the takedown, and it's that
Yeah.
dummy takedown. But his stand up ain't that great, and McGregor's good.
Right.
And I just thought if he was more on the back foot, and flustering Khabib, and Khabib's coming
Yeah.
after him, and he's cutting angles, he could catch him with something.
Mm.
That's the way I thought it was going to go. But then, yeah, like I said,
Mm.
he went after him, and it makes it easier for
Mm.
him to take him down. And even he was like, "Oh, I want to get taken down to prove I could survive there." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Well, you
Yeah.
got your wish," like, you know what I mean? I just thought it was like, you know. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he was a really good fighter. He's made more money than anyone else ever fought in the UFC. Is he the greatest fighter the UFC's ever had? No. But he's the biggest star the UFC's ever had. And
Yeah.
if he ends up on that white, I could definitely see him coming back. Like, jokes aside, like get a presidential pardon for the for USADA. Like just come in coked up and jacked.
Okay.
But yeah, his
That's
best days are
hilarious.
over. But he's a legend. But yeah, yeah. What did you think of the Khabib McGregor fight and all that?
Well, um, Khabib, another one of those guys. They say he's the GOAT. Now I think that word gets thrown around too
Way
much.
too much. Yeah, I think they've eased a
He,
lot on that in the later years. So
yeah, he retired too early to be the GOAT, but he
100%.
showed how dominant
Yeah.
a good wrestling base can be.
Mm.
Like you said, his striking was suspect,
Mm.
but he was still able to dominate. So, some people say wrestling should be your first art. Some people say jiu-jitsu. Some people say whatever.
Mm.
Khabib maxed out the wrestling build. The
Mm.
wrestling fighter, you want to look at somebody to model after.
Mm.
He trained enough kickboxing, like Khabib did, to be comfortable.
Mm.
Not too comfortable because you always knew how he was going to win. He was not going to try to do the knockout.
Yeah.
Did the fake takedown to the punch, just like Kevin Randleman knocked out Mirko Cro Cop with.
Mm. Yeah, that's right.
Fake takedown, overhand right, and then clinch. They teach that in every MMA school now. But the thing I want to touch on, which you brought up, was the Mayweather fight. What I think is the reason why it was so bad for McGregor is he took too many punches to the head.
Mm.
And I believe that he changed after that fight because the old McGregor would have denied losing.
Mm.
He would, because he wants to make himself look good and get a rematch for more money. So if McGregor was his old self, didn't get repetitive concussive impact to his head, like in the fight against Mayweather, I think he would have did something like that. Treat the post-fight interview just like the pre-fight interview.
Mm.
Talk your shit, you know,
Well, he did
and
lose
get people
against
excited.
when he lost against Diaz, he was pretty humble then, though, right? If I remember.
And that's what I'm saying is that these impacts, because he got pieced up by Nate Diaz too. He didn't just get
Mm.
choked out. Um, he was getting pieced up, and then he shot for the takedown. I think these impacts build up over time, lowering his testosterone,
Mm.
even if he's supplementing it, and made him, less McGregor
Mm.
and more chilled or soft or,
Mm.
admit defeat. Because I don't see him coming out of character much.
Mm.
He's pretty much always that guy who's
Yeah.
going crazy, being wild.
Like that's actually who he is instead of like Chael Sonnen that's cutting a wrestling promo, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, he's good at that too.
Chael, yeah. Yeah, his was gold. Bloody
For sure.
oh, what was I gonna touch on before? There was something I was gonna mention but it slipped my mind now. No, I'm not too sure. We'll just move on to the next one then. So
Yeah.
yeah, I saw in an article TJ Gillisaw mentioned about the Khamzat Chimaev and that he believes that Khamzat's got to improve his cardio if he has any chance against um, the South African. Why am I blanking on his name? Man, me and my memory
Dricus.
lately. Dricus, thank you.
Mm.
Duplessis. Uh, Yeah,
Okay.
that basically basically what he's saying is he doesn't have the cardio to hang with Duplessis. What do you think of that
Damn,
fight? And
where does that come from? I've never seen him gassed out. What did he slow down a little bit after beating Gilbert Burns up for 3 rounds?
yeah, and the
Where does he have?
maybe he's well, he's saying this is for what he's seen in like training together. I'm assuming.
Oh, they
Yeah,
train together.
I believe so. If I remember correctly, that's where he was going with it. But then like he did sort of gas a little bit with his fight with Usman and that, because he barrels out of the gate, coming out
Yeah.
100%. And then if you're gonna have that style, if you don't get him out, you can't go 100% all the time. Eventually, you're gonna gas out. Personally, I
Okay.
think. Sorry, go on.
Mhm.
Well,
Oh, yeah. Tell me your opinion
I
first.
personally think that because I like both of them, and they're both got star power potential. I mean, as far as star power goes, I would say Hamza could become a bigger star than Duplessis ever could. But I quite like Duplessis, and uh, even though he beat Robert Whittaker, our Aussie, but I like
Mm,
Duplessis, and personally
me
I
too.
like Duplessis in that fight as well. I think that Duplessis will win. Um,
Okay.
what do you think? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked either way,
Um,
but
yeah, I like Duplessis. Um, I don't. That's gonna sound bad. I don't really like Khamzat because he almost. It's gonna sound so bad. He almost seems autistic, and not that I don't like autistic people, because I'm probably on the spectrum as well. It's just that when he gets on the mic, it's not good.
mm,
He's not marketable. I disagree with you on that.
yeah,
But any Muslim is gonna bring in money.
mm, definitely they've got that
Period.
built-in crowd.
Period.
Mm,
He's selling tickets because he's Muslim,
mm,
not because he's a good fighter, not because he's good on the mic. He could talk himself into it.
mm,
Of course, he had to do what he had to do to get the title shot.
mm,
Um, but it's probably me being so such a poor grappler that I kind of like have in my mind like, oh yeah, the better grappler is always going to win.
Mm.
But Duplessis, he's good.
Mm.
He's strong. He's explosive. He has unorthodox grappling, but good grappling. And if he knows he's training for Khamzat, he's going to be ready for it.
Mm.
He's going to be ready. You know, he's going to have a game plan. And like you said, I wouldn't be surprised either way. Um, but the same thing that's good about Duplessis being unorthodox and explosive. He causes scrambles. You know, he does things. In my opinion, he does things um, that will put him in a bad position against a really good grappler
Mm.
who's patient, who knows exactly what to do. See, to me, you have to fight like math. It's like 1 + 2 = 3.
Mm.
Duplessis, he's like more of a, in my opinion, a piece of art
Mm.
where you could do anything. You go, oh, how does he do that? He's so awkward. He he doesn't have an established system where you know if you add 1 to 2, you're gonna get 3.
Mm.
And I could also see, even though I could see him definitely winning a decision, I could see him definitely winning with a knockout on strikes. I definitely don't see him out grappling Khamzat, and
Do you think Khamzat could get him
I could
down to the
also see
ground?
him. I could also see Khamzat submitting him. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, look at what he did
just
to
because
Rob.
he. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see Duplessis maybe exploding out of an initial takedown or an initial bad position,
Mm.
and that works until it doesn't work,
Mm.
and then he's, I'm talking like he's a white belt versus a black belt. He'll probably have a smart strategy. I think the best person is your countryman, Craig Jones. Anybody who's fighting a wrestler should train with Craig Jones.
Mm.
What he did with
Volkanovski.
um, Volkanovski was,
Unreal.
and he was actually teaching something that I originally learned was a mistake.
Mm.
And I brought this up last time because people are still getting submitted by putting their hands on the mat and trying to get up from referee's position. But Craig Jones says don't do what I do either, which is the technical stand up, because, like I said, it requires patience, which could mean getting grounded and pounded.
Mm.
But Craig Jones, he figured out a way to get up, not use jujitsu, to stand up in a way that you're not going to get submitted.
Yeah. Yeah, that Volkanovski Islam fight, me and my brother Jack were there for that live. And
Oh, nice.
personally, I thought Volkanovski won the fight. I mean, it was close. You know, it's not
Mm-hmm.
a robbery by any stretch, you know, either way, you know, like. But yeah, I thought Volk won that fight, personally. And, like, yeah, yeah, I was spewing about that. I saw Volkanovski after that fight as well. He was pretty cool. I got a picture with him. I had a beer with him. I didn't spend
Oh,
too much
nice.
time with him because obviously the last thing you ever want to do is intrude. But we did yarn with his old man. His old man was a gem, and I was like, no wonder he's
Nice.
a good bloke, you know, because
Mm.
you're a top bloke. Yeah, that's what I remember saying to him. That's where we see Craig Jones, and we saw a few other fighters and that as well. What did
Good
you see
times.
the Volkanovski Islam fight?
I saw, I think I saw highlights,
Yeah,
to be
fair
honest.
enough.
No, wait, maybe I didn't watch that. No, I think I did watch that. That was a while ago too. But yeah, I think oh, that's what it was. I remember watching it and saying that Volkanovski only lost because he was outsized.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
think if they were both the same size, he would have won that fight.
After when I saw him, I'm like, "You're still pound for pound number one, mate." And he's like, "Yeah, mate, 100%." But
Nice.
yeah, he was a cool guy. Um, I'll bring up one more thing, and then we'll call it an episode. But
Cool, cool. I got one thing to finish off with.
oh yeah, yeah,
So,
sweet as. Well, I'll just quickly mention this, and then we'll lead into what you want to say.
okay. Cool,
But
cool.
with the obviously with the White House fight and that, and then Jones jumping back in the testing pool. Uh,
Mm.
so I'd have to imagine because Tom Aspinall is going to defend the. He's already got a fight lined up.
Oh yeah.
Hypothetically, let's say that Aspinall wins that fight, whoever it is, probably
Mm.
Cyril Gahn. And
Okay.
it's a Jones versus
Mm.
Aspinall main event for that White House card. Uh,
Wow.
that would be pretty cool. What do you reckon?
Oh yeah. Um, Aspinall's a guy that is physically talented. I don't see him as a smart fighter, but he's such a physical danger. And Jones has to be feeling something for him to retire. He's
Mm.
we're not getting the full story.
Well, he
I
had
think,
he got into trouble with the law again. So a lot of people think it has a bit to do with that. And then he's in Thailand, and he's But yeah, but sorry, go on.
huh?
I cut you off.
Okay. Yeah, just kind of talking figuring it out loud as I speak. But I'm thinking that Jones is starting to feel that creep of age,
Mm.
and shit, Aspinall, he's in his prime.
Mm.
He did hurt himself in a fight just by throwing his own kick. He
Yeah,
like snapped his knee or something.
yeah.
So
Funny
no,
things can
he's
happen
not
though.
invincible either.
Yeah.
If I had a gun to my head and I had to put money down, I would choose Jones because he seems like a smart fighter.
Mm.
He seems like he's gonna come in with a game plan, and as good as Aspinall is on the ground, I think Jones has a lot more experience on the ground. He's a
Mm.
better grappler, and he's a training partner of Gordon Ryan, who's the best grappler in the world.
Mm.
And their system, talk about being sealed tight. Their system is a math.
Yeah.
Their grappling system, the Danaher Death Squad. That's it's like quicksand.
I mean, if he let's just say hypothetically the White House card goes ahead, and then he fights Tom on the main event and then wins, like what a way to finish off a career. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
no one's gonna top that in our. I don't think anyone will top that in our lifetime. You know, like a career wise. I mean, he's had.
Correct.
This is the thing. Like, nothing can ever be perfect. That's why he's had all this. The picogram stuff, and then the running over the pregnant lady, and like all the other dramas. You know what I mean? Like, you can't ever have everything. So, but career wise and wins wise, yeah, like that is insane. But
They'll never be able to do it again. Just like they'll never have UFC 300 again. They'll never have 100 again.
yeah,
They'll never have the first White House card on the 250th anniversary of America.
yeah,
So
that unreal. Yeah, I don't think you will ever have that again. But yeah. So we'll lead into the final part of our episode, Master Lukey. If you
all
want to
right,
take the lead on that one, brother.
yeah. Well, I went to a gym 2 weeks ago, and I made a documentary about the day. And what I'm gonna do is, it's a 4-part documentary, and I finished part one, which is the 5 minutes introduction. I didn't put any audio to it, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play this video for you and our lads to watch. Nobody else has seen this before.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, you know. I'm not. I just have been making YouTube videos for about 15 years, so I know how to. But as far as like being a filmographer, it's gonna look like a glorified Instagram post. But I haven't put the uh, audio yet to describe what's going on. So what I wanted to do is just kind of like play this clip, and I'm gonna turn my phone around
Yeah.
so we can all watch it at the same time. And as I play this clip, I'm gonna basically talk over it as if I'm narrating the documentary.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
So this is called Master Lukey Incorporated, and it's about my mission as a 501c3, which is a type of nonprofit corporation in America here in New York. It's called Master Lukey Incorporated. I'll just quickly read uh, the the paper that I got back from the IRS here, which when I got this paper indicated that I have something called uh, fuck, what is it? Exemption, tax exemption, tax
Oh,
exempt status. So anybody who wants to donate can write it off, and then they,
oh nice.
don't have to pay taxes on that.
Yeah.
That's why I went with the nonprofit, because I wanted that tax exempt status
Mm.
and then be able to get corporate donations. Master Lukey Incorporated. The purpose for which the corporation is formed is to promote health, wellness, and physical fitness through education in martial arts, nutrition, and holistic practices, with a focus on uplifting underserved communities. This will be achieved by providing free or low cost classes, workshops, and resources that enhance well being, encourage healthy lifestyles, and foster community engagement. So, what I'm planning to do is go everywhere and bring air purification, water purification, clean the mats, clean the whole area, and then teach a seminar about my new scoring system called,
Mm.
and the tour is called The Safest Way. Something I've been planning since probably 10 years ago, and I've just been working on it, this idea of a tour, and then certain pieces of it fall away. This couldn't happen, and then certain pieces are falling into place. So this is where I'm at now, where I'm going to use this video to hopefully get a particular corporate sponsor, and I'll describe what type I want at the end.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the first 5 minutes of Master Lukey Inc. Let's see here. We gotta go to the videos. Refresh. There it is. Okay, so it says documentary draft. Let's see, can I make this bigger? Video? No. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
This one. All right, anyway, let's just bring this in close here. Okay. Can you see it?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So in the vast loneliness of the Grand Canyon, this man here, Matthew Kemper, he killed himself.
Oh shit.
He has a sister, Amy, and she's into natural healing. She works with she works with jujitsu and MMA people in New Jersey, and she reached out. First, they were looking for Matt because he disappeared, and then when they found him, she reached out for somebody to help clean his house out.
Mm.
So I drove with her boyfriend across the country in 2 or 3 days. We drove a truck and helped to empty out his house. And um, there was two items that I brought back with me that were going to get thrown out. The first was a Leatherman tool, which is kind of like a utility type of knife. It's got pliers and a pocket knife. And this was me in in the Grand Canyon. And this was the second piece that I got that I took back with me, which is Matt's vacuum.
Mm.
So a little bit about me. I'm a former Ultimate Fighter, and because of the repetitive subconcussive impact, I um, I had suicidal thoughts when I got divorced and lost my kids. But um, I I came up with a scoring system for MMA with no head contact. This is a 12-year-old video here. I'm just showing proof of that it was me who came up with this new scoring system. That's an old video where I showed how you could keep score
Mm.
in a match instead of just trying to kill each other. Um, and that's going to be part of my tour, the safest way. So I'm going to come into these gyms, and here I have Matt's vacuum, and I'm scrubbing the mats.
Mm.
I'm not disinfecting, which is just putting down a chemical to kill everything. I'm actually using soap and water here, and I'm scrubbing the dirt, dust, grime, hair, whatever, instead of using chemicals. I suck it up so the mats are clean.
Mm.
Here we have the mat cleaner from the last gym I went to. It's mostly ammonium chloride. It says it doesn't cause cancer, but it says on the bottle if it gets on your skin, you gotta take care of it. So I looked that stuff up. It does cause skin irritation. Now imagine you're Marcelo Garcia, 4 years old, growing up on the mats, being on the mats all day, every day for your life.
Mm.
Now you're 40 years old and you end up with cancer.
Mm.
So I clean the mats and I clean it. I don't just disinfect it. This is the safest way.
Yeah.
Okay, these kids are Marcelo Garcia, and they're laying down on this stuff. Okay, later on in the video, you're gonna see everybody all sweating all over it. You're bathing in it,
Mm.
whatever it is.
Mm.
This
Shit.
is what I picked up off the mats
Yeah.
after the mats were sanitized twice that day.
Yeah.
And I think, in my undiagnosed opinion, that I have tumors all in my spine, places where I've been injured and where I've been coming in contact with the mat all these years. I
Mm.
used to get super itchy whenever I broke a sweat
Mm.
because I believe these chemicals were all over me. Now I'm into natural healing. I'm a certified health coach. I have a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation in New York, and I'm trying to get people to help donating. They make these new machines that are used to clean that has three parts to it. The first part, as you're pushing it, it's like a giant vacuum.
Mm.
You push it and it sprays the eco-friendly cleaner that's not going to give you cancer. Then it has swirling brushes that scrub the mats, and
Mm.
then it has the vacuum right there after it. So it's one machine that you just push. It's not two steps that's going to take me 4 hours to clean a small mat. I could get it done in an hour.
Mm.
And I'm going to send this video once I get the audio right
Yeah.
and put a
Sweet.
picture of the vacuum at the end. I'm going to send it to a bunch of cleaning companies and see if I can get one of these machines donated,
Mm.
and so I can pick up on my tour
Mm.
and basically go from gym to gym and become kind of like a traveling salesperson for a cleaning system
Mm.
where the mats are going to be cleaned and not just disinfected.
Yeah.
and I'll clean your mats, and then I'll teach you a new way to score. That's the safer way. And then anybody who's interested could sign up for my upcoming championships.
Mm.
And my idea moving forward, James, which I had a come to Jesus moment with my brother yesterday. He basically yelled at me that I'm going nowhere and I'm wasting my time, which I can see from his point of view. It does look like that because it's been 15 years of me doing the same thing, which is writing a book that's never been really ready for publish. And I'm still working on it. It's just, it's so much. And, I can't give it up. And he said, that's called sunk cost fallacy, when you think you've given so much to something that you got to keep going, when really the best strategy would be to walk away and start something new.
Yeah.
But my vision, my dream is to get this corporate donation of a machine, get a corporate donation of a water purifier,
Mm.
an air purifier, and go from gym to gym in a donated van
Mm.
with all this machinery and try to upgrade people's gyms,
Mm.
upgrade to a healthier environment where the air is pure, the water is pure, the mats are clean,
Mm.
and nobody's going to get skin cancer.
Mm.
The next part of the, or not skin cancer, any kind of cancer, because the kidneys monitor cell salts,
Mm.
and that's, I actually thought it was kidney cancer that Marcelo Garcia got, but he actually got stomach cancer.
Mm.
But they say cancer is a systemic condition. It's never like in just one spot. You might recognize it in one spot, but um, it's a systemic problem. Now, so that's the first video. The second video is more about the scoring system. So I'm gonna post video of me rolling, tapping out multiple times, getting tapped out. It's gonna show clips of me getting grounded and pounded in the UFC, the news articles about when I was on the run from the law because I went crazy and they had to bring me in. And I'm gonna also touch back on about Marcelo Garcia, and I'm basically gonna say that um, when you're a kid and you look up to your favorite athlete, you aren't warned that it's going to result in you getting a brain injury.
Mm.
When I was being brainwashed by TV cartoons to be a hero, to be a superhero,
Mm.
that I wasn't good enough being a man, I had to be super. And nobody told me that it was going to result in me uh, getting my heart broken, divorced, and homeless. Nobody told Marcelo Garcia that he was going to end up with cancer.
Mm.
And so the second video is going to be kind of like the hard hitting part where we have to take a look at the established system as it is
Mm.
needing an upgrade, and how, as martial artists, we're supposed to look out for people.
Yeah.
We're the soldiers, we're the protectors. There's a line, and I have to edit all this myself, but I'm gonna put in a line. I was on the train to the gym. It was early. It was like 1 a.m. because I had to get there on time for the 5 a.m. class. And I'm on the double decker train, which is the newest train in the fleet of this train line. It's called the Long Island Railroad. When you get on a double decker, it's the newest train that they have,
Mm.
but it's still over 10 years old,
Mm.
and the seats are starting to get worn. Leather seats, when leather kind of, it's a bright color, you can see where it's worn. Every day somebody's sitting, blah, blah, blah. So I said, here, look at this. This seat is on the most modern train on this line, and yet it needs to be refurbished. Just like mixed martial arts is the cutting edge. It's the most explosive, the most up and coming sport. To me, it's the best sport. And it's been regulated a little bit. You have to wear gloves now. You have to wear a mouthpiece. It comes under the athletic commission. Certain techniques are illegal. It's not anything goes. There's definitely rules to it, but they need to be upgraded.
Mm.
And it's scientific. Anyway, you could see how I'm saying I have to get the um the audio down so I can get all the information in
Yeah,
on that
no.
quick 5 minute.
I
But I wanted to share that with the lads.
sneak peek.
Yep.
I appreciate it. Yeah, when you get it all
And
sorted, I definitely interested
yeah,
in having a look.
I'll post it up. And so I asked, AI. I told them my plans, and they said start with the 5 minute, then cut it down to the 1 minute that you're gonna put on
Mm.
this platform, and how to market and stuff. But as soon as I get the audio down for this one, I'm gonna move to the next one. When all four are finished, then I'll start to advertise it on social media. But I wanted to get this first one done
Mm.
so that I could start shopping around for somebody to donate a machine.
Yeah. How expensive are they?
I could get, I could probably get one of them to give me like one of their old models that still works.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, it's for a good cause, and then you're also traveling around promoting their stuff. You know what I mean? So.
Exactly. If I go into your gym and I'm giving you a bill, basically,
Mm.
so it's got to be something that's worthwhile. Like you said, it's worthwhile, but it also has to be something that I can sell or
Mm.
market.
Mm.
As kind of like a plug-in. It's not something you don't have to change everything. You just get this. You get the natural. You can get your own natural soap. You plug it in, and it's easy. You just go up and down the mountain like this.
Mm.
Because the way they do it now is super simple too. They got one guy spraying the mat, the other guy going over with the squeegee, and that's
Mm.
it. They're done.
Yeah.
Takes like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be always there cleaning for hours. I think the main mats
Once you've
took
done
me,
that
yeah, at
though,
least
like
2 hours.
if you were to use a machine, how long would it take you to do it? And like once you've used it once, is it quicker than in your sequential cleans?
Yeah, so that's another thing that because I was telling my parents about it, and my dad said, "Yeah, that could be a business where, I go once a week, twice a week, whatever,
Mm.
go and clean the mats, actually clean the mats."
Yeah.
Well, part of
It's
it's
gonna.
kind of like door to door sales where I have to like
Mm.
get there, and still thinking like, am I gonna go? Because you can only use one angle at a time.
Mm.
Am I going in with the angle of a free seminar, or I go in on the angle of let me see what's on your mats?
Yeah. I mean, I think you could package it as both. You know what I mean? Like, um, you're a UFC veteran. Like that's gonna be a big selling angle for you right there. So you've got your seminar and a clean. Like I think as a
Yeah,
package. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
But you said
Okay.
seminar first. I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, I think both of them go in tandem. But yeah, I mean, like, but it's not even like, yes, I guess in a way. But what I'm saying is, like, you're the marketing tool. You know what I mean? Like, because you have a name. You're not some Joe Blow. You know what I mean? You've been in the UFC. Uh, you already have a built-in name already. You know what I mean? So that gives you some leverage there.
Well, I appreciate your opinion.
Yeah. And
You know what you're talking about.
I appreciate your time, Master Lukey, and yeah, I mean, if you ever want to shoot us a message, or we can powwow on the side one time about it, we can have a good yarn.
Right on.
All right, brother. Well,
Yeah, I was gonna show some of my training to describe how Ilya won, but it's just such a simple concept. Um, Basically, in my opinion, there's only two directions
mm,
because you're always moving forward or backward, so I don't count those.
mm,
All right, you're always moving forward and backward in a fight. So, what are your two directions? You have your backside and your front side, the two sides.
yeah, getting an
Okay.
angle.
So if I have my left leg forward, my backside is going to be my right leg.
Mm,
If I have my left leg forward, my front side is going to be my left leg.
mm,
So there's two footworks that I use. One is called the slide, and that's to the backside. It's not straight back, it's to the back side. So it's a little bit of an angle.
mm,
And then to the front side, I call it the pivot, which in boxing they call it a quarter turn.
mm,
So when I teach striking, or when I teach mixed martial arts, or when I teach shadow boxing, I start with the fighting stance.
mm,
And that's your normal stance that you think of, but I add the forward and backward bouncing. So you're always moving.
mm,
Okay. Now I teach it sequentially. I'll go, first you learn this. The next thing we're going to learn is the slide and the pivot.
mm.
So what he did was, I believe he jabbed, he stepped forward, and then he did the slide step. And
So,
Duke Bronx came back with a jab.
yeah.
And basically, what Ilya did was he went jab, slide, right hand, left hand.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the basic combo that I
So,
teach.
like when you, like when you throw your jab and you take
Yeah.
your left foot and you step out, but instead of stepping forward, you're stepping to the side a bit, and then turning on an angle with your back foot to get off the main line.
That's pivot.
Yep. Did you, um, just so we can get more of a visual of what you mean.
Yeah. All right. Here, I actually have it pulled up. I'll show you.
Yep.
Full screen on this.
Yeah.
This is called build a combo or shadowboxing line drill. And I'm going to keep adding, but I'm not going to take anything away. So we're bouncing, and I go one step or two steps forward, right? Now we're going to add the slide, which is to the back side. Okay. Now, if I slide over and over again, I end up making a circle.
Mm.
I can pivot the other way. In boxing, they call it a quarter turn. So we got the bouncing footwork. We're going to go forward and then either pivot or slide. Slide is to the back side. You step with your back leg first. Pivot is to the front side. You step with your front leg first, open, and swing. Okay, so we're going to go 1 or 2 or 3. Slide. 1. Pivot. Slide. Slide.
So, in my system of mythical beasts, There's 10 mythical beasts. The first one teaches fitness. The second one teaches self-defense. So this technique is in the first mythical, the second mythical beast.
Yep.
Where you start to learn footwork. It's called the land shark. Now,
Sounds
the third mythical beast is the living phoenix, and that teaches combinations. So this right here is a deck of cards that I just printed out yesterday.
Mm.
I'll show you real quick here. And these cards are going to be part of my book where the page is perforated and you rip the cards out of the book. So there's 116 of them right now. And it's not the right size. This is just the prototype.
Yeah.
You flip the card over after you shuffle them, and on the back of the card, here's number 1. You get a number. Goes up to 100. Goes up to 100. Here, it's number 5. Flip the card over, you get a number. You flip the next card over, which is what I'm working on now. The next card is the Bull Pegasus. It's the first mythical beast. You're going to get an exercise. So you're using this playing card system to basically do a workout. You flip one card over, it's your reps. You flip the next card over, it's your exercise. There's different types of reps. There's, of course, 1 to 100, like I just said. There's also 1 to 5 minutes. So you can get 2 minutes of a certain exercise. You can get 5 minutes of a certain exercise. There's also bonuses, which is 2 times. So if I flip the card over and it says 2 times bonus, then I flip another card over and I get 2 times what I flipped. The third mythical beast is combinations. So basically we're going to use the cards, the next series of cards, in a sequence. So I flip the one card over, and it's, in Ilya's case, he got the jab. I flip the next card over, it's the slide step. So he went jab, he slid off the line a little bit back and to the side. That's when Dubronx came with his jab, and Ilya was right in that position to throw his right left. And so, the card system is just a way to kind of, a new and fresh way to kind of program your training.
Mix it up.
Of course, it doesn't have to go. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be random either. You could just use the pictures to see, because the next cards that I'm making, you flip it over and it's got like a diagram of, or a couple of panels of the steps of the exercise. Like you go down here, then you push up here, right? It's like 3 different pictures.
Yeah. Sounds cool, man. Definitely.
Yeah,
keen
it's
to...
a work in progress, and it's something that I can teach from. So the idea is not just that you buy a book and read it. This is a book that you basically use to train with me, whether I'm there with you or not.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
yeah, I see where you're coming from. Definitely,
and,
we got to get this all finished and published and get this out there, mate, so people can get their hands on it. You got a timeline for when you reckon you want to get the book finished?
It's probably gonna be a while, but I am still training. I'm still training people using the concepts in the book.
Yeah.
It's just that as I make the book, I want it to be very, I want it to be the best of its kind. So
yeah,
like this idea of the cards was something that I didn't have 3 weeks ago or a month ago or 2 months ago. I forgot when I realized that it needed something rather than just an instructional book where you're looking at pictures. It needed something more interactive.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So now I have to go. Let's see. I have 116 cards. I have to go. I probably have to make at least 50 cards of
Mm.
exercises, 52 cards. And each card is its own picture.
Mm.
So I could see how that would take a while. Like if I have to make 52 more pictures.
But what about outside of the cards? Like, what about the book itself? Is the book pretty well completed, or?
Yeah, no, yes and no. Um, I have it all in this binder here, but
Yeah.
um, it's um, it's called the MMA Black Belt.
Mm. Nice. It's good artwork, man.
And
Where did you get the
it's
artwork done?
okay. So this thing on the top is a scroll. I use that in a lot of my stuff. The artwork underneath, I used Mid Journey.
Oh, nice. Yeah, cool.
I tried to go for the comic book feel.
It definitely looks like it. I
Um,
remember the first time you showed me. That's what I thought it was.
this this picture is the ring coming out of a black hole,
Mm.
um, and I don't know if I showed you this earlier. So here, this is also done by Mid Journey AI.
Yeah, nice. Looks cool.
Um, so the intro of the book, initially it starts you thinking of how to score.
Yeah.
So instead of training, you know, to kill, you're training to score.
Mm. Nice.
So this was kind of a stage in between where I'm at, where I'm going to, and where I'm at, where now instead of having a piece of paper with these different training tools on these training tools like the kettlebell, the sledgehammer and stuff, they'll go on a playing card.
Yeah.
So if you flip over 5 minutes on your first pull and the next one you flip over the Turkish get up for the kettlebells or the tire slam
Mm.
with the sledgehammer or something, you know, the heavy sword swing, and you got to do those exercises.
Sounds good,
And
brother.
you could challenge your friend. There's going to be a playing mat, so like one of the mythical beasts later on will flip it. So if I get 5 minutes of jumping jacks and you get 10 push-ups, and I flip my card and that gives me your exercise, and then you got to do my exercise.
Yeah.
There's another card which is going to be both people got to do both exercises.
Mm.
So as I go through the book, I'm making it as I go, and then once I finish this book and I start making the next book, because there's 10 mythical beasts, it's got to be 10 books.
Yeah.
The game itself will kind of flesh itself
So
out.
when you go and do your seminars, it would be good to incorporate the cards into your seminar.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Master Lukey, I really appreciate your time, brother.
I'll bring my cards to Australia.
Yeah, man, 100%. I mean, when you get over here, mate, I'll definitely have somewhere. I'll put you up here. We'll find somewhere for you to crash here, brother. Check out the house.
Yeah, I didn't finish telling you the dream. So
Oh,
get the equipment,
sorry, mate.
get it in a bus,
Yeah.
take the tour across America, and then the next donation after the bus, I want to get a plane.
Yeah. Well, that'd be a big donation.
They gotta write it off.
Yeah.
They'll give me a $50,000 plane, and then say they donated $1 million.
Yeah,
So they get to wash their money.
Yeah.
Oh man, you gotta be a little. Either you come to martial arts because you're a little crazy, or you end up a little crazier. from
Well, I
all the
think
head
anyone
contact.
that it definitely takes a certain person to get in the ring. Um, it takes courage, and but it also it takes like I said, it's a certain person. You got to be okay with violence, which I know with your new league is trying to move away from that. But just generally speaking, with boxing, kickboxing, and MMA, you got to be like it can't bother you about hurting another person,
Mm,
'cause that's the point of it. Yeah.
facts.
You don't. I mean, at the end of the day, no one wants to see their opponent get seriously hurt. But at the end of the day, to win, you need to try to hurt that other person. So it's like integral in it. Basically, what I'm saying is, yeah, you want to hurt the person, but you don't want to hurt them too much. You want to live to fight another day.
Amen.
Mm.
Well, I'll talk to you on another day, mate. Good
No
show.
worries. Thanks, brother. I appreciate
Cheers,
you.
lads.
Thanks, Master Lukey.
Thanks, Pete.
Till next
My
time.
pleasure. Bye-bye.